us all together. Lord, we gather in your name as children of a sovereign God. Forever we proclaim, to God be all glory.
Well, good afternoon. How you doing? It is September 4th, 2024, is episode 66 of The Thinking Theologian. But before we get started today, there's something I want to get into. So today marks a day near Athens, Georgia, in the Winder County, where a school shooting took place. And so we need to be in prayer for those communities, that community, those churches, those people, those families, the shock and everything that's going through with them right now. If what I can understand, the shooter was a 14-year-old young man who was taken into custody. So not only are other lives affected, but his life has been changed. And there's so many questions of things of why this happened and what went on. But the main thing we need to know is that, people need support. Even this young man who did this horrible act, there's no justification for what he did. But if we truly believe in the grace and mercy, we need to follow through with that. And that's kind of something we're going to talk about today. So that's just on that part of it. And so in today's reading, we were in Ezekiel 21 through 22. The title of today is The Unsheathed Sword of the Lord. And the focal scripture is in Ezekiel 21:15. And this is what it says. It says, "So all humanity will know it, that I, the Lord, have taken my sword from its sheath. It will not be sheathed again." And so these two chapters today, there are a lot of times in the Old Testament, and even in the New, where we get a glimpse of all of God's character and all of his attributes. And one of the things that we need to understand is that God has righteous anger. And so we know what it's like. We as people, we get angry. And I think if we're all honest, I don't think any of us really can ever say we get angry and we don't sin when we're in our anger. Now, you may not do a physical act of violence. You may not do something else, but you may think things you shouldn't think about somebody. You may, our actions, words, or deeds. In our anger, I've been through times when I've been angry. Every time I've been angry, I've ended up sinning some way or somehow, either by my actions, my thoughts, or my words. And I think most people, if we're honest, I don't think we ever just get angry and don't sin in our anger. And that's something we have to be careful of and look at. And maybe I'm wrong, you may disagree with me, but I think if we really think and flush out everything we're thinking and going through when we're really angry, I think we cross that line into sin, and we need to acknowledge that. But today we're looking at God's anger, and God's anger is not just any anger. It is a righteous anger. It is an anger that is justified because of the sin of the people, of what's going on and what's taking place, and their punishment for what's happening. And so here he's talking to Ezekiel, and he's giving this instruction, and we see these words, and they're powerful words, and they are something that really should drive us to prayer and to worship, to understand who we are and who we worship and whom the God we serve is. And this is for believers, for unbelievers, of who we're around and what's going on. So all humanity, not just Israel, but every nation at the time, they're going to know who the Lord is, for he has taken his sword out of its sheath, and he will not sheathe it again. That he's going to deal with the people, and he's going to do it in righteous judgment, in a righteous way, and he is righteously vindicated to experience, for the Israelites to experience that wrath and that judgment, and he is right in doing so. And this is something that we as believers don't like talking about. Many people who follow God, they create an image of God that they want, that they like, and it's usually always on the positive side. The grace, the mercy, the love, which God is every one of those things. But we also have to understand, and we have to know, we must tell people that yes, God is all of those things, but he's also a God who's going to judge sin. Not only is he judging the Israelites here, we know that he's going to judge everyone at some point. That when we die, you'll be judged. The living and the dead will be judged. And we will know that We're going to be judged whether or not we have righteousness upon us. We talked about yesterday. Do we have God's righteousness? Will we go to heaven or hell? As believers, we'll be judged for our works. Why are we doing what we're doing, and how are we doing those things? And then we'll be judged for our actions or attitudes. And finally, we'll have the final judgment in the end, where the enemy will be judged. And so God is a God of judgment, and he is a God who is righteous in what he does. And in his righteous anger, he does things in a good and positive way. And it's an uncomfortable conversation to have, but it's one we need to have, that God justifies his righteousness. And so let's be encouraged today as we're going through what we're doing. And so be encouraged by that. So tomorrow we're going to read Ezekiel 23 to 24. Thank you for being with us here today.